Well, what's up, everybody? This is the first time we've ever done this, and evidently we are at home. COVID-19 has got us multitasking right now. My name is Dan Shannon. This is Calvin Hansen, and many of you know
Hey.
Dr. Dan Baumann over here. I give him an honorary doctorate because Lord knows this guy has lived the life. And yeah, it's an honor to have him on here today. And, we've been thinking different ways of like, man, how can we help encourage all of us that are sitting at home, stuck in various ways. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. And we thought, let's just start doing these just interviews and just discussions like this and record them. So, Baumann, thanks for being on. Calvin, good to see you on here.
Yeah,
Good to be
thank
here,
you.
man.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah,
hit it off,
I
Calvin.
think of anybody that we could interview about maybe living in isolation and understanding a level of fear. I think Dan Baumann would be the number one man. So yeah, I'm excited to hear his perspectives and wisdom. So
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely. I think
thank
everybody
you, Dan.
feels like they're in prison right now. And we thought, man, who could help us, in this time where we feel like, yeah, who was imprisoned? Oh yeah, imprisoned in Iran, Dr. Baumann. So, dude, Baumann, you're like
I
an
don't give
expert.
away. I don't want to give away the ending of that book, but I hear he gets out.
That's the word on the street.
Censored. But Baumann, where are you right now? And I know you're usually like traveling the world. For those of you who don't know, Dan travels all over the world now, teaching in churches and in DTSs. But evidently, it seems like you've probably gotten grounded. So what's going on?
Yeah, man. I did get grounded. I had about 3 months of travel and teaching in the spring, all over the world, actually. And I got some of it done. I was in New Zealand and Afghanistan and Switzerland and England. But then when I got back to the States, where I had more teaching, is when everything slowed down, middle of March. Ended up here in Dallas, Texas, with things getting canceled. And my good friend said, hey, why don't you just stay here? And we've got a place for you. And I've got an office space down the road if you want to get some things done. So in those days, everything was changing day to day. And so I just decided to wait it out. And turns out I've been here since then and been able to do a lot of recordings of old teaching that I've never recorded, and also try to get more scriptures behind my teaching stuff. Those of you who've heard me teach, I tell a lot of stories. And a lot of times people ask me, like, what's the scripture behind the story? And I'm like, I don't know, go read it. Sure you'll like it. And so it's been really good for me to, just get serious behind, just having some kind of hooks that people can hang their questions on about how to walk with Jesus and how to live the life. And that's been what I've been doing. So, yeah,
Awesome.
Where I am right now.
Man, I'm glad. We've all been wanting you to get theologically sound, Baumann, so this is good.
God moves in mysterious ways, and he kicked my butt, and now I'm trying to get it all sorted out.
Yes.
Come
Yes.
on.
Right on. Well, we're just gonna roll with this, but yeah, I mean, kickstarting this, Baumann, I mean, you of all people, like we've kind of noted, know what it's like to live in uncertainty of what's ahead. I mean, I think of the two biggest examples in your life. One, of course, the imprisoned in Iran, but most recently, you had a major fall on a hike. How many feet was it that you fell?
About 60 feet.
60 feet, hit your head. You were in the hospital, couldn't walk. I mean, I'll let you unpack that, but there was a lot of uncertainty. I remember visiting you in the hospital, and there was a lot of uncertainty of one, if you would live, and then after that, if you would walk again, if you talk, if you teach, a lot of uncertainty. And when you were in prison, there was a lot of uncertainty again, if you would live. Now, thank God, most of us are not in that place, especially those of us who are, I like to categorize myself in the younger category. But, with this COVID thing, but it has brought up questions of death. I think it's brought the reality of, of like, whoa, life is short. So we would love to hear any insight that comes to your mind when you think of, man, what did I learn in those uncertain times as I was just the unknown? Because I think a lot of us don't know what's ahead, whether it's with our lives, with, what's going to happen next, even when this is all released and lifted. So, boom.
Oh my. Yeah, where do I even start? About 15 to 20 years separated, but I was in prison in Iran over 20 years ago. 2 death sentences on my life. Those of you who don't know my story, was in Tehran, the capital where it all went down. I had 2 weeks of freedom, which got me a great time. But then, upon leaving is when they took me. I was there, like, not knowing how long I'd be there. I met another American who had been there for 15 months, and he did not know why he was there. And that was just a big swirl spin towards this reality. I could be there for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Now, that guy got out a few months after me, but there were so many days, especially in the beginning, that I thought, okay, I am losing 100% control. I have no more freedom. Not only no freedom, but I have no control. Like, the door is locked and I can't get out. And that was my reality. And with rehab, and it was very different, but it was very much the same. 3 years ago with my accident, fell 60 feet off a cliff, fully damaging my cerebellum in the back, losing 65% of my blood, being declared brain dead, basically cerebral palsy-ish, on an operating table in Hawaii where the accident occurred. 2 weeks of unconsciousness, leading to amazing recovery, or a start of recovery. And they thought the only thing that could maybe help in recovery would be rehab. But it was very clearly stated by the senior doctor, you will never be more than a vegetable. You will never be more than a quadriplegic. And so here I am in rehab, and they said at rehab when I got there in Colorado, I would be there a minimum of 9 months. With the option of, I'm never going to walk again, I'm never going to talk again, I'm never going to enjoy life again, I'm never going to walk. In prison, I'm going to be there forever. And so in both situations, thank God it's not like that in our journeys right now. But I had no hope. I had no hope in both situations. And the biggest thing for me, without just pointing it as simple as this, but I had to find something more real than my situation. How do you find something more real than your situation? Because our experience is our experience, And for me, I just had to go to the Bible and to my experience with God, and what I knew about God and what I understood about God, and begin to stare at his character. And if his character and who he is really real, then I've got to find a way that could actually be more bigger or powerful than what I'm going through right now. And how do you do that? I mean, obviously there's different ways. We can just fix our eyes on Jesus. The simple verse out of Hebrews 12, it rang in my mind like, I don't know what it's going to produce to fix my eyes on Jesus, but I had to do it because I had nothing else. Hope was gone. The reality was I was 100% out of control. And in both situations, especially in the rehab time, fixing my eyes on Jesus came through a push towards worship. And I just started worshiping God. I had to find a way to get my mind off of me onto something bigger. And I didn't know how to do that. It didn't mean it changed overnight. No, I would think about God, and then 5 minutes later, it would be like, oh my gosh, I'm still here. or oh my gosh, it's never going to change, or oh my gosh. And yet I would just turn, and it was like hundreds and even thousands of choices, all related to Romans 12:2, be renewed by the renewing of your mind. I had to get my mind thinking more about God than about me. And that's the basic thing. Did I know what it would produce? No. Did I know I could get out of my situation? No. But did hope come? Yeah. Did peace grow? Yeah. Did joy grow? Yeah. Did hope for the future grow? Yes. And here I was in both situations, just having no idea what the future held. And whatever I thought what the future might have held before those times had changed. Like now, I don't know what I'm doing. But God had never changed. And so, yeah, in both situations, looking at God, thinking about God more and more and more, taking my mind off of the questions of why did this happen, or what can I do now, or why. Throughout my life, I've had many of these why questions, and I've had to not live by those questions. Because we have many why questions, even with this situation, and we just have no answer. But when we have no answer, we do have something that is secure, and that is God. And I had to look at God and his character as my security, as my rock, as being stable in the midst of not understanding something. And it didn't maybe always make sense at first, because, okay, I've done that, a Christian should think about God. It wasn't simple like that, it was like, no, there is a real God, and he really loves me, and he really knows about the situation, and this thing, which is global, yeah, he still is real, and he's good. And I had to put my mind on that reality, because what Satan wants to go after is get us to question the goodness of God, question the character of God. And by God's grace, I was able to say, no, I will look at God's character and who he is. And that's what gave me hope in these questionable days. Even now, being here, yeah, what gives me hope is looking at God, not trying to figure it out. We can hear hundreds of opinions every day on the radio. And a lot of the opinions all have pretty positive or real sources, and they're opposite each other. Like, what do you do with that?
Seriously,
That's
great
true.
ideas, totally opposite, and they both have reliable sources. Like, oh my goodness.
yes. My favorite one was at the beginning when they're like, hey, don't wear a mask. Masks don't help with anything. Like, you don't even need to think about it. Doesn't. And now in Hawaii, we are not allowed to go into any store without a mask. But before it was scientifically proven, masks don't help. But oh my gosh, there's so many, right? Oh.
So yeah, no, but that's just in a nutshell.
It's
Man,
good.
looking at God has really been just such a rock for me when our situation is, one, unknown, and two, just all over the map,
Yes. Leave it to Baumann, dropping bombs.
Boom, another one.
Yes.
Yeah, Baumann, I remember talking to you on the phone, and you were still in the rehab center, and yeah, you were just kept talking about how basically all day long you've been listening to worship music, and like, oh yeah, I love this, whatever Kim Walker song. But so you definitely, like, I can confirm that you lived it out. You decided in your own, body to choose God over your situation. And I just think that's so powerful, and it's such a good word for all of us, just because right now we want control, like you're saying. And so we go to these news sources, but really we should be going to God. We should be, just gazing at him, because really he's the source of wisdom and truth. And that's what you've done. And yeah, that's just always a powerful message. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, no, it's just something I'm just constantly relearning. so many times I get up, even now. We all probably get up and think, what's the latest? And we get hope, or we get ticked off, or we whatever it is, this sway of emotions are all over the place. And yet at the end of the day, we haven't left our house and we got to wait till the next day. And yet within that reality is still a God that's with us and for us. And that's really helped me.
That's good. Yeah, I think the verse that comes to mind is, maybe you can use this, Baumann, since you're looking for theologically sound truth for your stories.
Come on.
But the verse that comes to mind is when John the Baptist goes to Jesus. He's got a death sentence, and I think it's like Matthew 11-ish, and Matthew or John, he's been declaring Jesus, this is the one, this is the Messiah, this is who we're waiting for. I mean, Jesus goes as far as to say this guy's the most blessed man born of a woman. In other words, like the most blessed person outside of being born again is what I kind of take from that. And then all of a sudden things change. Things are not the way John the Baptist thought they were going to unfold. He has a death sentence. He's about to die. So what does he do? He sends his disciples to Jesus because he's questioning, and they come and they say, hey, John wants us to ask you, Jesus, are you really him? And Jesus's response is profound. He quotes, I believe it's Isaiah, and he lists, some of the prophecies of what the Messiah is going to do, but he leaves out what they would have all been waiting for, to say the captives will be set free. And then he goes on to drop the bomb of, blessed are those who don't fall away on account of me. And so essentially he's like, John, I am the Messiah. I'm not going to release you from prison. And you're blessed if you can hold on that I'm still good, that God's still good, that, that's just, woo, wow.
So good.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on. So good.
Man.
Yeah. Not an easy truth sometimes.
Not at all. Not at all. And goodness, I mean, for me personally, I know we lost multiple supporters right on the get-go of this. And I started, the initial feeling is fear. Like, oh man, what if we lose? Because we're fully funded by churches and individuals. And, the thoughts like, how are we going to cover our mortgage? How is this going to, but then I felt like Holy Spirit kind of switched in me, and it was kind of like, so what if we lose our house? Like it's a new adventure with God. Like, this is about walking with God. And I can't say I've just stayed in that position, but there almost rose an excitement in me of like, okay, God, like whatever, like we're going to be with you through this. And I love, Baumann, how you said like, hey, like I'm learning that, I'm continuing to learn this and relearn it. And it's not something that you just arrive on. It's like a continual process of learning to walk with God in trust. It's like it's like a steering wheel that keeps swerving off the road. It's like every day we got to bring that back, just bring it back straight. That's so good.
Come on,
man.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, I do have one last question here. Baumann, can you give us any tips, outside of spiritual tips, to fill our time when you're in a prison cell? Maybe if we have oranges, or I've heard some stories.
Yeah, I would highly recommend. I got into something called underwear bowling.
Ooh.
And in my life, I was confined in this room, and I thought if I could make up a game, bowling, well, I could do that. And how do we get a ball? Well, I took my underwear and rolled it into a ball. I created 2 teams, and each team had like 10 players, and I had to be every player because I was alone. But every player had like a story, like some were, coming off arbitration arguments for their salary, which is really stupid because they were paid well, and some were getting ready for retirement, and some were really just rookies. And so everyone had a story, but I had to be everyone because I was alone. But yeah, it was totally fun. I used to have the guards look at me like, this guy's been here too long. But yeah, whatever it is to bring a smile. What if it's that simple? Like, don't forget to smile every day.
Yes.
What brings you joy? Is there anything within your world of your house or your situation that could make you smile or laugh? Do it every day. Find a way to bring it joy so that smiles and laughter become a part of your day. And at first, I was all freaked out in both situations. And over time, I'm like, wait a minute. And I slowly found ways to smile and laugh. And the more those increased, it just helped throughout the day. To find things that bring joy to your life and make you smile. Of course, we're blessed with, social media and all that and stuff, but find also ways just to enjoy life where you're at, in people you're around and in your situation. And yeah, you'll never regret it. Something else that's really helped me in this time is I think about like 3 months from now or 6 months from now. Of course, we don't know any time frames. But what if you look back from that point of view and think, oh man, it was hard, but I can see these good things that came out of it. And I like that perspective. It's like, yeah, I'm going to want to look back and think, okay, I did something, that I felt I should, or something. It wasn't all horrible. And so that's really helped me as well. But yeah, let's just keep laughing and keep smiling because, yeah, Satan wants to take that away and God wants to give us joy.
Awesome. That sounds like a beautiful way.
Dude, you could write a book on it.
You could write a book on that. Calvin, maybe we'll have to do this again with Baumann and we can talk about a beautiful way.
I think we have to. I think it's a must. Part 2, Baumann.
Yes.
Are you in? Are you in, Baumann?
Oh, I'm totally in, man. I'm totally in.
Oh, for those of you who haven't read A Beautiful Way, it's one of my favorite books. Honestly, I'm not just saying that, but like it's just on the simplicity of walking with God in the normal life through everything, and Baumann really walks that out. And so, all right, well, let's make a deal then. To be continued. Baumann, thank you for jumping on here with us. This has been fun.
Yeah.
So much fun to jump in with you guys, and so great to see you.
Totally.
Good to see you too, Baumann.
Yes, baby didn't cry. I'm gonna go right now, get some diapers and do some bowling.
Come on.
We got to give this dad of the year a round of applause. Good job. Look at that. COVID dad 2020 dad of the year.
Throw it up.
Awesome.
Throw it up. Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks again, Baumann. We'll see you soon.
All the best.